Hello, thanks for joining us, keeping a date with us on Kiss FM. It's Politics Extra, and this 5 p.m. Thursdays, and as well as Tuesdays 5 p.m. we are out there to provide you with the updates. We analyze current political issues and our duties to prepare you for the 2019 elections, examining all the pitfalls, examining all the shiny points, and making sure that we tilt towards the positive side as we prepare for the elections. We have done it many times, and each time we do it, we make some progress. 2019 should be much more progress for us, as we all are encouraging the larger population to take part in these elections. We already have about 84 million people on the voter register, and the Independent National Electoral Commission has a promise that they will indeed make it better this time around. With the population of voters increasing, we also expect that it will be more competitive for the contestants. We have over so many, political parties that are fielding presidential candidates this time, talking about the major ones and those ones that we consider not too major, but they are all playing the important role of elongating the ballot paper, and all of us having a choice to decide who will run the affairs of Nigeria at the presidential level. The seats in the governors, in the states, many of them are still up. There are some states that are not running their elections now due to the instability in parts of the results delivered in previous elections and court cases that made it possible for some governors to run, some states to run their governorship elections at different times. My name is Ohiri Agbonsuremi. Very many thanks for joining us, and we are going to be discussing one of the very major issues in our elections, security, and we are tying it to the events in Abuja in the last 1 week. At least Abuja had a respite today without much of the anxiety over the protests that turned deadly for some members of the Shiite protesters who are protesting the detention of their leader, Zaki. And we are going to be joined by Prince Kevin Fyneface. Is a security and energy expert, public good advocate for good governance, a thought leader and a positive disruptor. That's how he describes himself. A public speaker and a blogger. Prince Kevin Fyneface has a background that will excite you, as he'll be telling us what he actually knows about how to organize security in favor of the society. We'll be sharing his views and his postulations towards a good, successful, credible, violent-free elections in 2019. And we'll also be quickly going to our mail. I think we just are able to take out one now. Ada Obi Abumo would lead us into our mailbox.
Thank you. Welcome to the feedback segment. I am Obi Abumo Adaobi. Our mail is from Chidozie Eze in Lube, Abuja, and he says, considering Nigerians' position on Amnesty International, which look back due to the activities of the military in the northeast at the head of Boko Haram insurgency, Nigeria's security agencies, especially the military, would have traded with caution. This time around, this is because now the ex-Zaki group are claiming that many of their followers have been killed. The military would have done everything possible to avoid the extrajudicial killings, which the military is always being accused of so many times in Nigeria. When will this type of action stop? Let the Nigerian military stop this. Many thanks for your mails. Keep them coming through politicsextra@primorg.org or info@agbonsuremi.com. I am Obiabomo Adaobi.
Yeah, those are the routes to reach us. politicsextra@primorg.com. Primorg is PRIMORG. PRIMORG, which you can be sure would harvest from your experience. So you are seeing the whole of the issues, and one of the questions we will be asking everyone as the time goes on is, as you listen to us, are you ready to vote? Have you picked up your PVC? Are you aware that those who were registered by the Independent National Electoral Commission between January and March have their PVCs out now? and you can go to the INEC offices close to you to pick up your PVC. That is the duty. After taking such a long time to register, you don't want your PVC to be lying idle at the INEC offices. We currently have over 7 million idle PVCs in the INEC offices around Nigeria. Of course, we will encourage you to take a step. Please take a step, go pick up your PVC and be ready. We don't want a situation where over 80 million registered voters in Nigeria today will not have at least up to half of them, like we have seen in the past. Let's try and see if we can get to 80% of those who registered, and then we'll be having our thumbs up that we are indeed participating in the process. Now let's jump to the Kiss FM newsroom. Ayo Ade Olatokewa is there. She will lead us. Which are the top stories and what are those things trending around?
I think we should start with the wife of the president, Aisha Abubakar, that says Nigeria is enjoying good governance under the leadership.
Aisha Buhari.
Yes. Aisha Buhari, sorry.
Yeah.
It says Nigeria is enjoying good governance, looking at what the infrastructure the president's administration has put in place. Don't you think
maybe I should just throw it back? Maybe I should just throw it back to you. Are you surprised that the wife of the president is campaigning for the president now?
Yeah, it is expected. It's election time. So.
Because she threatened in the past that she was not going to campaign.
Yeah, but it has been settled in the other room as well. So,
but that is good. I think some persons were actually saying the president has demonstrated the capacity to keep the home, because not everybody will see the wife go out there, campaign or say things, and then they'll come back to the same home. I'm happy that he has won the battle, the battle in the home to get her to campaign. Any other story?
We also have the NHIS boss. You see,
at least out of the office now.
Yes, but there's a panel that she sets aside for the investigation to commence.
Yes.
So right now, but he said he has filed a suit against the Minister of Health and the board, that because to him it's not right for them, that they don't have the constitutional right. And on Tuesday too, Mustafa.
But the president has not asked him to step aside from November 5
for investigation. Yeah. But as at last, was it Tuesday or last week? Boss Mustafa said the same thing, that the board has no right to actually not to allow him to be in office.
He has not said. I don't think he's going to say that the president does not have the right to say.
Of course, the president
has the right. Yes, so that settles it. Yeah. I think all the NHIS should settle down to solve their problems. There are a lot of health problems that they should solve. This program has not reached a sizable number of Nigerians. Many people don't even know that the NHIS exists, and those who are operating under them are given the drugs or medications that are allowed only by the scheme.
I think it's the HMOs that are living life.
Yes, so they should, with all the so high amount of money that we have heard they have expended, there should be some progress, and then they should put behind them this crisis and begin to solve those health problems that Nigerians want to see solved.
Yeah, it's true. We also have still on NLC, it's still ongoing. They're expected. There's a negotiation that they're supposed to have today, and the NLC boss said they have nothing. They are not going back. They are not shielding their sword.
They actually threatened that if they do not accept, they'll go back to their city.
They said they only want to listen to the president as at the moment, but any other negotiation, they are not just interested. But I think the ministers are meeting with the governors. They're supposed to meet today.
You know why they have to listen to they have to hear only from the president? The reason is that the previous agreements with the ministers are never kept when it comes to things like this. So they want to look at the president in the face and say, look, sign this paper for us.
They even believe the governors forum does not have the rights, the constitutional rights, to actually tell them what they have to pay. They're also angry at that as well. That is not a constitutional authority, that they should even go to their state and settle it with them. But for them, it's 30,000 or nothing else. But there's still supposed to be a meeting today anyway. So let's be optimistic that something good will come up.
We are hovering between 18,000 that is currently there to 22,500 to 24, I think.
Yes.
So they are at 30, and they are threatening if they don't pay what they want, they will actually zoom back to the 16,000 naira that was demanded.
But states like Edo State shouldn't have issues because they've been paying 25 before now as minimum wage.
Well, if you go to Edo and ask the governor, that's my state. state. If you go to ask the governor, he will tell you the percentage of money that goes into the payment, the recurrent in the state. It is not one anybody who want to say should continue when we spend almost over 60-70% on recurrent. Of course, they also have the debt burden. The loans taken by previous governments, as soon as money is gotten from Abuja here, they quickly take them, fill those holes before they begin to look at.
But Lagos and some others with the IGR, they shouldn't even be bothered.
That is why we are. That is why I believe.
So others too should be creative and generating IGR.
That's why I believe that this negotiation in Abuja is a wrong negotiation. They should not pay the same thing with states that cannot. Let us run a proper federal structure that will enable the individual states to determine if they cannot run on their own. They can also agree to merge. If they cannot run the affairs of the let's take this matter seriously.
But all the states in Nigeria are really blessed. If they look at their
environment,
yes, everybody have something that can comparative advantage that can make them really generate so much. It's just because everybody depends on fact, and that's why there has been so. That to me is not. They are not really, they are laid back. They don't want to be creative.
You know what?
When there's an issue, there's going to be debt, there's going to be bailouts, and the likes.
They call it. I think it's A.K. Kweremadu that described it as feed-the-bottle federalism. Where everybody come to Abuja with feed-the-bottle, take what you want to take every month, to come back and just go back. It makes laziness out of the whole process. If that be all of these reports we have, we are going to be zooming to our discussion segment. I want to encourage you to write to us, share your views with us. Let us know how you feel about some of the developments around Politics Extra at primong.org. Primong is PRIMORG. Or better still, you can write to info@agbonsuremi.com, and we'll be able to share with you. And if you have some support for us on the activities of Primong, we are set out to promote good governance, accountability, and enlist all citizens on hands on the deck to be able to move Nigeria forward, such that we want everybody to participate at all levels of political operations, whether it is joining the political parties of your choice that you want to. We encourage you to do that, but never miss the opportunity to decide who is your governor, who is your president, who is your senator. And the only way you can do that is to pick up your PVC that is ready if you registered between January and March. And if you already have it, please clean it up every day. It is the authority you have. That is the only authority of citizenship that you have over every other person that is not a Nigerian. So we must vote. We must participate in the process. That is how we get it robust, and we have it. Kevin Fyneface is my guest this evening on this program. And Fyneface, like I told you, is a security and energy expert. He is a public good advocate, and he also advocate for good governance. And he said he's a thought leader and a positive disruptor. That is, he wants to change things positively. Thank you for joining us on the program.
My pleasure.
Now, what do you make of what you have heard of the various reviews we have? The NLC is saying we have to be here. We have the El Zazaki matter security in Lagos. In Abuja, you have been here since the last couple of days. What are your general comments before we come to the core issue of elections and security?
Well, let me start with the NLC issue. I think this country, for once, need to do this once and for all. One of the reasons why we have security challenges in this country is because of absence of job security. There's no government establishment that you can guarantee. Look at the case of the NHIS boss now. You have this conflict of interest bedeviling the administration of that agency, and the NSA is demanding for 30,000. And I think part of what they should also demand for is that the government provide basic infrastructure. The last time the NSA wanted to go on strike, and they did went on strike, the government promised to bring palliative measures with which to provide, transport system to make it easy for people who live in the outskirts of area. How much can 30,000 naira do in this part of our world?
That's actually less than $100.
It's less than $100. It's about $80-something. If you go by different rates that we have, we still don't have a definite fixed exchange rate in this country. We have about 7 or 10.
But there was time it was 11.
11.
If you actually use the official exchange rate, it's not even up to 200, up to about
$80.
Yes, not to $80.
So if that is the case, then what are the inflationary trends that we have in the country as we speak? Abuja is not one place where a city that where you want to live comfortably well. Then it means you have to go outskirts of the city
And then pay transport to work.
There's a whole lot of value chain responsibility that the government needs to put in place. Our transport system is only gradually coming up now with the rail system coming back on track. The luxury buses that we have, that the city-wide transport system that's supposed to put in place, is not in place yet. We don't have good road network with which people can actually transport themselves to work and back and all of that.
Now, if you are talking of Abuja, those in Lagos will just envy you. They will even envy those of us in Abuja.
You know, because you don't have traffic on the road as much as they do in Lagos,
Yes.
so they think it's okay. No, the problem of Nigeria is basically the same, but with different, nomenclatures that you can actually say it. So if government takes care of the basic infrastructure that we need, provide job security that is necessary, they will not be finding themselves talking about salary increase or all of that. Secondly, why don't we begin to look at our political office holders? Why do we pay a school start holder that is a councillor 150,000 and above, and you pay a security officer that has arms with him to protect lives and property? You pay him less than 50,000 or 60,000 or 70,000 depending on the establishment. Why can't we have a unified salary structure as a country? Someone works in PTDF, he earns much more than the one who works in DPRO. It doesn't make sense. Those are some of the anomalies that is actually bedeviling us. So we can, the basic,
that's why everybody want to go to CBN or NNPC.
That's why there's preference. That's why people don't want to go to some places. That's why people don't have, pride in the job. The reward system in this nation is bad. And it's part of the reason why we're actually having major security crisis in the country. The same reason why the people don't understand the power behind the voters card, which we're going to be talking about much later.
Yeah.
So we need to begin to look at how to have a unified salary structure. Why can't we begin to look at the political office holders and see how we can half their salaries, their wages? Why can't we do that? Why can't the National Assembly members say, okay, the what we're taking, we need to take half of it? Now, I don't blame them that much for what they earn now, because it is actually revenue mobilization. Salary and Wages Commission is there to see that this is done right. But you see, those who are coming to the office are those who also help to formulate this policy. So what they do, they create safety nets. You see, the governors are coming back to the National Assembly as senators.
The senators are going back to become governors.
So when you have this, they create safety nets just to protect their self-interest. We, the people, need to take our rights back. And how can we do this? Is when we become participatory in this governance of this nation, then we can begin to get the right result.
And they're talking about participating. The only one sure way you can participate, even if you are not in government, is to vote for the person who is contesting and asking you for vote. But we have had contestations about our voting system. Oftentimes we have had security challenges, and we continue to have security challenges in flash points of Nigeria. There are certain areas that you naturally expect challenges of security. In Rivers State, in Delta, even during these primaries, we saw guns. Now, where are we as far as your barometer is concerned? With the have we made progress over the years? The customs are pounding arms. We don't know where they are going to, and a lot of this, or where they are coming from.
Those who are responsible.
So where are we?
You see, Mr. Austin, I think one thing we need to understand about Nigeria is an entity. It's more like a company run by a few persons. That they are board of directors who manage this country as the company of their own. The security situation in this country currently as it is, saddles the responsibilities of those who have called themselves elites, the political elites of this nation. They are the ones who buy the arms. They are the ones who arm the boys who do the works. And because they are
the one that pay them.
This is the first time, I would say, or most recently, the 2015 elections, elections, we started seeing people getting involved in our political process. Since 1960 to date, we haven't had elections, in the context of elections, with people basically exercising their franchise. What we realize is a rubber stamp mentality. People they create this template where people just go stand. They don't even know what they are standing for. They just believe that.
And they are just told who to vote for.
Just tell who to vote. After everything, they give them some peanuts. That mentality, trickled down to our fathers who transferred that in the innate system.
But that is changing now.
It's in our blood. Now, with technology and everything, people are beginning to, it's our rights. It's not necessary that we're actually serving. These people that are supposed to be our leaders are supposed to be our servants, because we actually voted them into office to serve us.
Yes.
But when they get there, because of the style of governance that we have in place, our style of leadership is hierarchical style-based leadership that is subjugatory. It makes you to think that those you put into office, they are servants. No, it's the other way around. Now, because the people are not aware of their power, they tend to just think that the voters card is just one card like that and just give.
They don't know how powerful it is.
How powerful it is, and it is the fault of NOA, and I think it's actually connivance with the National Orientation Agency for not doing their job well. Because the National Orientation Agency is supposed to actually educate the Nigerian public in all Nigerian languages to let them understand the power behind the voters card.
Of course, the problems of the NOA. If you go there now, I've had friends who have headed that place. They will tell you the government said does not even believe in it, so they don't fund it.
Exactly.
Beautiful, but you see, they've actually every year you go to the budget, they have funds, they bought equipment. If you go to FRC and building radio house there, you see a lot of these. Vans, community radio vans and all of that. What are these? They're just parked there doing nothing. They can do something with the little that's given to them. Do we have the importance of the voters card in Nigerian languages? Do we all have that stated out? Are we taking care of the radio waves and so that people are well educated to understand the power behind the voters card? It made me to understand. I formed a group called Youths We Are Working for Sustainable Change, basically to enlighten the Nigerian public about the voters card. We found out that the voters card is the most powerful tool in a democracy because it is the only tool that legitimizes the office and the occupier of that office.
Yeah. How
many Nigerians know this truth? Very few that know this truth. We are limited as to what we can do to educate the Nigerian public. The media.
But the people say the violence we are talking about now is a factor that discourages people.
That's what I'm going to. Why do we have violence? Why do we have violence? Those who are vying for these offices are truly not qualified for those offices. So the only thing they can do, because they have access to funds, is to fund those who are idle to go constitute this nuisance. And those who are idle are constituted that don't understand the power that they have, just like the police officer who is guiding. I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything wrong. You give arms to a police officer as an orderly to someone, and from morning till night he walks around with you, but you don't care about his well-being.
Whether he eats or he doesn't eat.
You're a major security threat to that man. He can decide to sell his rights. So anybody who wants to pay to assassinate you. So it's the same thing. Those who are idle, they know how to do this thing. See,
although the policeman ought to be paid his salary anyway.
He's paid his salary, but he's also to be given an allowance, hazard allowance for the job he's doing outside of his operation.
Yes, I wonder why they don't get such a.
No, but they don't get that. You see, there's a way this country operates. They operate like what Stanley said: pull off the feathers of the chick, and I make the chick to rely on you because it looks like you're bringing warmth. They take off the feathers, make you so powerless, so you have no choice but to manage what you see because you have to survive.
Yeah.
You can't just die for nothing, so you have to survive. So for that reason, they come back again with these funds and come and meet you. See what happened in Osun? You notice that what happened in Osun is the most disheartening thing that actually has happened in this nation. In the recent times, in the 21st century, we saw broad daylight robbery taking place with our rights. The people did not have the voice to vote. You saw that in Ekiti. They were giving money out there. Physically, people are ready to sell off this. Why? Because to them, the voters card is not that powerful. They get there.
So what do we do to get Nigerians to understand that the voter card?
Nigerians need to begin to be educated now by Nigerians. INEC needs to come in on board to educate Nigerians. Let them understand the power. Let's get community involvement. Let's see how we can reduce security challenges by so doing. Why can't we have our elections in one day? That way we'll be able to deploy the right resources to manage these elections. Why are we having staggered elections? Why are we having all of these things happening? So yes, I agree that legal implications that comes with the reason why we have staggered elections like Osun and Ekiti. No doubt about that. But we can come to a point where we can have a national election that is conducted one day for across all offices, and it's very possible. That way you reduce the number of persons that will move from point A to point B.
Kevin, we have done that. We did that before. I know that there were days in the past in the history of Nigeria where federal and presidential elections, all of them, we just give you the ballot box, your ballot paper to
But then the people were not aware of their power. What we had then was rubber stamp elections. People just come, they have a few persons to show that they are doing elections. What was happening was thumb printing. Today with technology, your thumbprints can actually be, your fingerprints can actually be, forensically, discovered. So what we need to do now is to get the people to understand this is the importance of your vote count, because if you think your vote does not count, we can do forensic analysis. And we will see that, okay, this thumbprint, yes, that's what it is. INEC, before they started business, what they call it, the voter registration, they came with 5 business rules. Part of it was the thumbprints, your facial caps,
the biometrics,
biometric the features. Did they follow through the process all through registration? The answer is no. Because in some states of this country, they never follow all the portrait process. They use the war that was going on in the Northeast as an excuse not to do what they're supposed to do completely in those areas. That's why you see young kids coming out to stand to vote, and check those kids, they have voters card. How did that happen?
Now, just before we go, because our time is up, we have the example in Osun State excites me, because the closeness of the vote actually shows that the vote counts. That the people are beginning to. How do we get out of the 84 million people who are standing in now with the register on the register? How do we get at least half? Because we have never had half of the registered voters.
In my little research, I've been engaging a lot of people, young guys and all of that. Everybody, if you go to the churches, go get your voter's card.
Yeah.
Now, I call that a disservice. Why? They are not teaching the people the need to be part of the political process. It's not getting your voter's card that is the important thing. You have to be part of a political party or a civil society group. Either of these two areas. Because if you're not part of political parties, then it means it means the devil and the deep blue sea. You have to choose from the worst to the worst, because they will just come on one day and just these are the people that are big.
You are talking about the leadership recruitment process.
Yeah, so we need to get that sorted out in order to make sure that people vote. So then people can understand that the votes count. 2, when it was time for registration, some people registered in areas that they will never ever actually go back to, because during the day of election,
that's why we have over 7 million cards that are not picked up.
Because there they said go register. They were in offices as secretariat, they registered, but during the time of voting, that is not a polling unit to vote, and they can't move because there's no movement.
Exactly.
There's no movement, so they can't go to where they need to vote. The education is very poor. So for 2019, I believe we'll have more people coming out to vote, but we need to educate them to know how to vote right, and to actually go and be ready before the time of voting, so that they don't get hooked up with the no movement that will be imposed by the government on the day of elections, because there won't be any movement on the day of elections.
Yeah.
So if I live in Karo, for instance, I registered as secretary around secretary,
you can't come.
I can't come and vote.
It's true.
Of course, the opportunities were there for people to move their voting point. That door is closed now. You can't move until after the elections, because if you registered where you cannot vote, the opportunity is there under the INEC guidelines for you to move your voting point. That window closed sometime. Was it in August that it closed? Yeah. Unfortunately, but you have to make efforts to be able to go and vote. There's no excuse. Just try and vote. Kevin Fyneface is a Prince, security and energy expert, and he says he's a positive disruptor, and I agree with him. He has been my guest here. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. And my colleagues here, Ada Obi and Ayoade, I want to appreciate you for joining us. When we come back on Tuesday, we'll have more reports for you. Please get to see where your voter card is. Have you seen it today? It is very important. You locate it, keep it, clean it, and please don't get it wet, and you are able to participate, because when the time really comes, you will not be allowed to complain if you do not take part in the democratic process of voting. Okay, Agbosoremi here. Come back on Tuesday and we'll have Politics Extra. Remember to drop us a line. Politics Extra at primong.org. Primong is PRIMORG, or info@agbosoremi.com. Thanks.